I'm Bryony Kennedy, the founder of Adorn Cosmetics, and here I'm going to talk to you about some of what I think are really important makeup tips for you to master the best look for you and your skin. Now, let's get started with skin prep. My tips there are not to cleanse in the morning with a physical cleanser unless you've got an oilier or acne prone skin. Cleansers simply dry out the skin, and if you double cleansed the night before, you shouldn't need to use another cleanser, which is only going to further strip the skin. Just a warm face cloth like our waffle cloth is enough. You will find if you've got dry dehydrated skin that your skin improves over time once you eliminate that cleansing in the morning. Okay, so my next tip for skin preparation is to always use a face oil. Face oils help to lock in the hydration of your moisturizer, and they also help fight free radical damage and also will help look after the skin and help balance the skin and of course the function, the barrier and the function of the skin. So a face oil is something else that I really recommend you incorporate into your skincare. It's the last step of your routine in the morning and at night, with the exception of sunscreen. Here's my next tip. If you are going to be using sunscreen, that is the very last step of your morning routine, and then you're ready for your makeup. More skin prep tips. Eye cream. Now, eye cream is something that I would recommend using only of a nighttime, especially if it's something that's quite thick and hydrating. If you're going to use an eye cream during the day, it will not allow your eye makeup to stay on as long. So I recommend using your moisturizer that's on your face and pop that around the eyes. Something lightweight like our skin primer moisturizers are perfect. Eye creams tend to be a little bit heavier and therefore can cause separation or your eyeshadow not to last as long if you were to use something that's more water-based and of course a little bit finer like our skin primers or moisturizers. So eye creams at nighttime. My other skin prep advice is this. If you've got dry, flaky skin, try not to do too much to it when you are putting your makeup on. Really focus around your skin prep being very, very nourishing and moisturizing. No amount of makeup in the world will cover dry skin. It will actually absorb into the dry skin and make it stand out. So it's not the makeup, it's just something that really can't be avoided drawing attention to. So your skin prep is super important. If you've got flaky skin, definitely opt for something that's a little bit thicker and heavier. Something like the facial oils will definitely help, and maybe look at an exfoliation the night before if you have an event to go to, just to help lift away some of that dry skin. My other skincare tip is for your lips. There is nothing worse than dry, cracked, and especially lips that have the skin that's peeling off on them. I know we can all suffer that at different times of the year. So what you want to do is make sure you pop on some soothing barrier balm of a night, or a really nice thick emollient kind of moisturizer to really penetrate the skin, and of a morning that dead skin should have lifted more and you can exfoliate your lips. So use something like a coffee scrub or one of our facial scrubs and just gently scrub the lips. You don't need to be in the shower even for that. Just pop it over your sink, give it a light exfoliation, and your lips will love you for it, and your lipstick and your glosses will look so much better. My next tip is around foundations. Now, I don't know anyone that can get away with one foundation type and one color all year round. And if you are, it's probably not matching you perfectly. Even if you get a little bit of intermittent sun, you'll always be a little bit different throughout the seasons with your skin color. But more importantly, because skin is an organ, it reflects your health at the time, and it also reflects the environment that you're in. So your skin will sometimes be oilier, more dehydrated, dry. It will always vary on a day-to-day basis. So I recommend 2 different foundation types and 2 different shades that you can maybe easily mix and match as well if you're somewhere in between, but definitely looking for a foundation that is maybe a little bit more hydrating and one that's a little bit less so that you can alternate depending on what your skin looks like. Personally, I never use the same foundation every day. I look at my skin in the morning, see what it needs, and I wear a foundation that will suit based on that. There's samples available so you can find the right fit for you. My next tip around getting a flawless looking base is to conceal after you've applied your foundation. After. Now, if you put it on before, and I'm not talking about corrective concealers, I'm talking about skin tone concealers. So if you were to put it on before and then pop your foundation on, you are wiping the concealer away. First of all, your foundation should eliminate most of your flaws anyway, so the need for concealer may be a lot less, but when you put the concealer over the top, you're able to concentrate on that blemish a lot more using a lot less concealer and it not being wiped away during the foundation application process. So that's my next tip. That also applies to putting your concealer underneath your eyes. Now, if you're looking to correct blemishes on the face or irregularities, the yellow base concealers like our Peachy Sleep are perfect for bruises, veins, and dark circles. And then you can look at other corrective concealers if you have any other skin concerns. But you'll find for most people that a skin tone or a yellow base concealer is enough. My next tip around concealing is this. Make sure that when you're concealing blemishes on the face, that you use the exact color to that of your foundation. If you use a concealer that's lighter, it's going to draw attention to those blemishes or flaws. Lighter things look bigger. That's why when we paint the walls white in our house, we're trying to create an illusion of a bigger, brighter space. When we wear black, we're trying to look slimmer and, of course, smaller. So the same color process works with makeup. If you want to enhance something, use a lighter color. If you want to hide something, you use a darker color. And this is extremely important to remember when you're popping on a concealer, because if you put one that's too light on pores, then of course it's going to make them look bigger. If you put a light one on a raised blemish, it's going to look bigger. So always make sure you use the exact same color that you need on the skin to match your foundation for face flaws. My next tip is around foundation and not exasperating or enhancing the things that you don't love about your skin. If I had $1 for every person that told me foundation makes their skin look worse, I would probably be a very, very rich lady. The reason that you may find foundation makes your skin look worse than when you don't wear it is because you're using a color that is too light. When you use a foundation shade that's too light, it will make you look unwell, possibly, older, and it will enhance large pores, fine lines, hair, and of course, deeper lines. It'll also enhance things like scar tissue. So anything that's raised or concave that sits underneath the skin layer is going to be way more obvious if you use a foundation that's too light. Now, when people are color matching their foundation, they will often color match it down their neck. And that's not incorrect. It's just that at times it's not correct either. And what I mean by that is if your chest is darker than your neck and your face, you really should try and color match your foundation to your chest or décolletage, especially if you're someone who wears low cut tops or you're in the warmer months and you're wearing things that expose your arms and your chest. I'd even go so far as to say that you should match it to your arms. Then when people look at you, you look natural, not like you've got makeup masked on your face. And we've all seen people who are walking around and it's very clear that they've got foundation on because it's quite white and the rest of their body is darker. So that's a telltale sign, but that's also making them look a lot older than what they are. So matching to your chest is going to be a much more youthful look, and it's going to also help minimize the things that you don't love about your skin. Now, if you haven't got your chest exposed, you don't like to expose it, then there is nothing wrong with matching to your neck. But what I would say is make sure that's an exact match, not even a little bit lighter, because again, you will draw attention to those imperfections. And then what you can do to help eliminate those areas that look more, I don't know, you fine lines, your pores or whatever that might be standing out, but you've got the correct color, but you're a lighter skin, use something like our contour compacts or even a contour stick just to help warm up those areas and also just help to minimize the imperfections that we've spoken about. So again, really check that you're using the right foundation shade. The next tip I've got is around mineral powders or mineral foundations. Again, a lot of women and men, in fact, that wear them now will say to me, but I've got dry skin, I'm older, I can't wear powder. Forget about it being a powder because they're a lot more advanced, and using just clean vegan mineral ingredients, these ingredients that we use in our mineral powders work in synergy with your skin. So they stick on the skin, but they work with it. So as you're hot and cold, they move with the skin. So it really is a natural way of covering the skin, looking like you've got more flawless looking skin. There's the added benefit of the SPF 20 plus, which is amazing. And if you've got a dry or dehydrated skin, all you need to do is make sure you use a face oil. Pop a face oil on underneath, which is usually the last step of your skincare routine anyway. And then when you put the loose minerals over the top, it will attach to that oil, turning it into more of a dewy appearance, so more of a liquid look. You could also try putting on the rose water and spritzing that over the top. That will also make the loose minerals look a lot dewier, and it will also help dissolve some of the makeup that might be sitting on those fine downy hairs that we can get on the face. So you can definitely wear a loose mineral foundation. My other tip around foundation is how you apply it. So the general rule is this: if you want a heavier coverage, then you want to either stipple, which is like a press roll action, or press, and that will give you a heavier coverage. It doesn't matter what foundation type you're using, that will give you a heavier coverage. If you choose to buff, that's spreading the pigment and making it a thinner coverage. So you can have lots of different coverage types from one foundation depending on the tool that you use. So your fingers are generally going to give you quite a heavy coverage because you're not absorbing any of the product into the fingers. It tends to be quite a thicker coverage. You can use something like our kabuki brush, being a short dense brush. If you press that, or you press with the complexion blender, you will get a heavier coverage. So it really doesn't matter what tool you use, it's how you use it. Pressing, heavier; buffing will be a lighter coverage. Now, when you are finished with your foundation, and in fact, when you finish with your overall look, what I recommend is grabbing a large brush and just gently sweeping down the face like this. Now, what that will do is it'll get all the fine little hairs that have raised when you're buffing your blush on, or your luminizer, or your fountain, whatever you've done. It's lifted those hairs up, made it more obvious, and also probably has a bit of foundation or product stuck on those little hairs. So use a big brush to just do downward strokes, and that will help eliminate those little hairs standing out. My other tip I want to give you is around your tool choice. Okay, so we've discovered what makes a heavier or lighter coverage, but what do the tools do? So if you go for something like a short complexion brush like this versus a kabuki brush, maybe versus something like this, okay? All of these products, or even a stippling foundation brush, all of these brushes will apply your foundation, but some will apply it heavier than others. So for example, if you're using the kabuki brush, because it's got a shorter, more dense, meaning more bristles, shorter, more bristles means you'll get a heavier coverage. When you've got longer bristles that are less dense, they're a bit more flexible in their movement, you're going to get a lighter coverage. And again, one that's even lighter and less dense, again, even lighter coverage. So if we use the loose minerals as an example, this would give the heaviest coverage, and then this one, and then this one would give more of a translucent kind of coverage. So really it's all about the tools. Remember, the shorter the bristles and more dense, the heavier the coverage, and that's the same with your eye makeup. The longer the bristles, the less dense, the less coverage that you'll get. So that just gives you a bit of an idea when you're looking at your tools and you've forgotten and you don't have my face in front of you. What do you use? Just pick up something that's got a short and more dense, and you'll get more coverage, or lighter coverage if you want. And that's the same with your blush, your bronzers, all of those things. If you want it to be quite heavy, go with something that's like this, or if you want it to be light, go with something that's a little bit longer. In respects to the complexion blender, now use that damp and that will give you a really light skin-like finish, no matter what foundation or BB you've used. You can also use it dry and that's going to give you a heavier coverage. So again, it's about how you use the tools. Now with these particular kabuki brushes, you can also use these damp. So if you've washed them and they're in the middle of drying, you can use these to still apply your foundation. In particular, the loose will go on a lot heavier and it will look almost like a full coverage cream foundation. So that's one way of turning your loose into something that's heavier. You could also spritz it with a rose water or a face mist and dip it in and off you go. So there's some other little tips around your foundation applications. Did you know that there's actually no rules to makeup? Yeah, there's some tips and there's some tricks around making products look their best on the person, and they do help to enhance and do different things, but ultimately you can use your makeup wherever and however you like. So what I mean by this is you might want to put a gloss on your cheeks, you might want to put your blush on your lips, you might want your lipstick as an eye color, you might want to use your eyeshadow as eyeliner. There is no rules. It's very much like your jewelry. It's there to accentuate how you feel. It's there to make you look and feel good, and of course to complement maybe what you're wearing that day. Jewelry is the same thing. Who cares if you wear 1 ring, 10 rings, lots of necklaces, 1 necklace? It's all about accessorizing, and that's what makeup is for your face. It's accessorizing your face. So you're enhancing things that you want to stand out. Maybe you're muting things that you don't love as much, but really have a play, have fun, and just do what makes you feel good.